clarifies like,
Tip in the eye when you did that too, by the way. You went, reach!
that's okay. Yeah.
Twee lady.
Probably
Lady dumb.
Krampus.
Eat my
Kenny's bringing in the last minute. I tried.
Too high.
See, I don't have a lot of
Most
red and
festive?
white.
Least festive.
I
He looks really, really festive.
I don't
With
have
his
red.
workout.
Nah.
Red is IU color, so I've never had red.
There it is.
Oh, okay.
It's
Right,
just
but there was
grew
something
up that
similar.
way. He didn't wear red very often.
They make Santa hats that are
I only wear it at Christmas.
gold and black, you know that, right?
Yeah,
I've seen them.
I used to have a Santa. I did the
Thing in
Santa
there that you were
hustle.
transferring for the windows, that's separate of it. Okay,
Never wore them again.
okay. I was gonna say, I knew you had
Couldn't
something
tell you where
else.
they're even
Okay,
at.
Gotcha. You'll come up and, okay.
What is that?
Scared me. Oh, God, I don't see my name on any of these things yet.
You're off the hook.
Well, I don't need any.
Oh, did you print off? Is that the?
This was the first package.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, because my family used to have the Griffith family reunion there for years and years and years, and I wanna plan it this next one and
Comes
have
in
it back
handy to
there.
own an office supply store.
I know. Yes, it does. Well, my
Yeah.
company, gratefully, they pay for all my ink.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So I pulled that up, went, oh, what is it, like 80 pages or something? I'm like,
Yeah.
Did you know
no.
Ronnie?
Yeah.
Are you a laser printer or an inkjet printer?
Mine's inkjet.
Other than that, you wouldn't want to print this out.
Nope.
Inkjet printers are a scam.
I know. Wait. I'm not sure. How do a cartridge?
Boats that were made
Laser?
in World
But it's a
War
cartridge.
No, if it's a little
I by
cartridge, it's
women,
inkjet.
two women at Poplar Grove.
Is there a home?
They're identical except one's is a little bit smaller, but there's
Or
18
you stay out
stars
the
of
wazoo for
men
the
in
inkjet.
Interesting.
But the lasers are better. If you're doing a lot of printing every month, you definitely want to go laser.
gold stars of men that didn't come back. And there's a bunch of mirrors.
The last piece of machinery back at the barn. That's always, that means Christmas break usually.
Exactly how much ink was in all their cartridges,
Yeah.
they
Start hauling away.
I'll do the side.
Yeah. Hello, sir.
Good.
Thank you.
And I'll find a seat. We'll call to order the meeting of the Morgan County Council for December 21st, 2021. We will start with a pledge, and did you say Troy was leading? Yes. Troy Sprinkle will lead us in that, and then Vicki Kivett will lead us in prayer. If you all stand.
I pledge allegiance to the
Of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Dear Heavenly Father, we just thank you for this wonderful season, the birth of our Savior, Jesus Christ. We just pray for those who are homeless and troubled. We pray for those who need healing. We pray for this pandemic that is still affecting so many people, both patients and families. We just pray for our country as a whole, that you be with us as leaders, that our work be pleasing to you in our communities and across the nation. We pray for our military, those who are spending time away from their family during this Christmas season. We pray for those who are sick, facing disease and illness. And we just pray that you wrap your loving arms around us, dear Lord. Guide us daily, and we thank you for the blessings that you give us. Amen.
Amen. We thank you all for being here. You might notice our attorney is not here tonight, Jim Wisco. This meeting was planned on a Tuesday. He didn't realize that, and they had already planned their office Christmas party, so he apologizes for not being able to be here. But I had a couple questions for him, and I asked him about them, so when we get to those, I can give you what answers he has. Grant, you want to act as attorney?
Yeah, we'll join them.
I thought that's what he was saying.
All
I'll
in
do
favor?
it. I'll do it.
And that means Grant buys everybody dinner, right?
All right, let's let the record show that we are fully in attendance this evening. And I don't see minutes here. Do we have minutes from? Okay, all right. So we'll move right into, I guess folks know that the last meeting of the year, we cannot have any additional appropriations, just transfers. So we will move into the first transfer of the evening, which appears to be Emergency Medical Service Fund. Keenan, would you like to give us a brief description of what that's about?
Yes, ma'am. When I took over the budget, we identified immediately that there were going to be some shortcomings. One of the areas that I rectified and kind of made into the slush fund was the drug screening, hepatitis, and physicals. I actually accessed into the county resources and found a much cheaper route to obtain the same level while saving a ton of money. So in doing so, our ambulance supplies, obviously due to the COVID and all that and the supply chains, everything's skyrocketed. So this is us moving funds from the $31,103 to the $22,000 to make that a even kill, and we're done with that for the year.
Okay.
There be no questions. Vicki Kivett makes a motion that we approve this transfer, $3,700 into ambulance supplies.
Chip Keller will second, or Troy King.
We have a motion and a second. Vicki Kivett made that motion. Troy Sprinkle, second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you all. Merry Christmas.
Thank you, Keenan. Okay, Mr. Hale, Parks and Recreation.
Thank you folks so much. On your agenda, you have a transfer in the amount of $3,415 from equipment into contractual service. You already had that already, and then I just give you all a letter for transfer from part-time correctional officers into contractual service as well in the amount of $4,897. I apologize, I thought we still had one more pay till I met with Joyce this afternoon. Found out there at the last minute that we have already done the last pay for this year, so that's why I'm asking that to be transferred. You're gonna see that what you already have, you've got copies of the windows, and I'm gonna pass down what these windows look like and who's doing them. You're actually seeing the same exact size window that's in there right now, except they're gonna be energy efficient, and they are being built right now.
This is at Wilbur Schoolhouse.
Correct. Now, what's got me a little worried, I was told by Sean Anderson that's done the masonry, and he does a great job, and go out there and check it out, and it looks really nice inside and out. And he's the one that did almost all the work for Finneman Builders, and Doug Mullins' Artisan Group, about halfway through. They brought Rick Campbell in with Jeff Sagro and also Sean Anderson, and they finished up the project on about the last 12 or 13 buildings. But they do a great job. One thing that he told me though, and he's a mason. He's not a general contractor. He told me that the window, Carter Lee ProBuild was gonna install the new ones, take the old ones out and install new ones. Well, I found out from Bradley that they do that on new construction. They do it on modern buildings. They absolutely will not do this on a historic structure. So that's why I have shifted, and I've got quotes coming in from 2 different contractors, one of them being Chef Sagro, the other one being Rick Campbell. Seeing what it's gonna take to get that down. I know Jeff shot me a price, $300 a window. That's just for the windows, taking them out, putting them back in. To do the little bit of trim around the windows, 2 doors, and the serving opening, I had him figure that in. The rest of it we're pretty much doing with me and the CC guys, finishing the last little bit up. And what that is, that's a 32-inch entry door. The casing and bottom of it's pretty bad shape, and I've got it temporarily sealed up. We're gonna be putting it in. They put it in originally with the 1x6 treated board. We're gonna be putting a 1x8 in, so it goes the full width of the block, painting it white to match and finishing that out. We will be doing the floors later, as far as just going ahead and sanding them down, going ahead and putting 5 to 6 coats of urethane on it to where they really look nice. Because it is nice, but they've got some time on them, little bit of wear. So the chalkboard, the original chalkboard will be going back up probably the 1st of April in that building. Randy Marsh has had it in storage and it's going back up.
That's
So
great.
So this 8,500 roughly between the two requests, that'll get the project done?
It's gonna be really
gonna be
close,
close,
really close. But I didn't want to go through the budget and pick 100 here, 100, or 35 here, all these line items and chip and do that. That's the only other big one that I could. But yeah, we're pretty much gonna deplete that whole budget this year. But I want to get as close as I can to getting everything covered right now. We have already paid down half on that window.
That was gonna be my
Deposit.
question. I think it showed a balance of 6,787. That's, you've paid half of that?
Yes, the other page, unless if you look at the front page, we did pay down.
Okay.
That's already been paid off. If you would go on your second page with this letter that I have you, you're gonna see the 3 line items. If you go to the very back page, that's actually gonna be the part-time correction officers that I highlighted up there at the top, the 498718. If you go to the middle page, you're gonna have a contractual service at top that it's going into. You're gonna have the equipment, the first request that I had, the 3415. Keep in mind, the 864108 does not have that deposit taken out yet. So we're gonna be cutting it fairly close.
His original letter
I
for the
anticipate
3415.
either tomorrow or Thursday getting them other 2, and I anticipate they're probably gonna
this
be
amount.
somewhere around $2,400 to $3,500.
So where's this?
So clarify for me just a minute. The 3415 is your original request.
Correct.
And then are we asking for an additional 4897.18?
That's what the letter is I gave you tonight.
Okay. So for a grand total of 8312.18, if my math is correct.
That's what I just,
Yep.
Is that what you got, Melissa, too? Okay. Okay. But you don't. Hang on, Vicki's got a question on an amount.
What about the 864108?
That's what is, that's the current balance. Now, I want you to see that, and that is not
Oh.
including that 3393.92 taken out yet. I had Joyce print this off as of January 6th. That's all the claims that the parts got in to date. There might still be a few claims that's still to come in. I know I'll have some in utility, I know. We did, because we knew we was doing this work, we did go ahead and order locked-in rate with Gales Gas for the tanks, so they did the summer fill. Plus, I locked in, paid for the extra tank. We never used 2 tanks, but I knew with the construction and curing of the mortar that we would. So whenever I checked it today and ordered the new tank, we only got 12% in there right now. And they're gonna try to hurry up and get that tank over there, so that's where we're at.
So what we'll be looking for is a motion to transfer $4,897.18 from part-time corrections officer to contractual services, along with $3,415 from equipment to contractual services.
Correct.
Any further questions on that?
You want to do those separately or as one?
I think we can do it as one.
I will make that motion to transfer those amounts you just quoted and said.
We have a motion to transfer as presented from part-time corrections, $4897.18 to contractual services, and from equipment in the total of $3415 to contractual services.
I'll second that.
Jason Maxwell seconds. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you.
Thank
all
you,
of
Kenny.
Have a nice New Year's and a Merry, Merry Christmas. Thank
Thank
you.
you for all you do. All right, so moving along, looks like our next one is Motor Vehicle Highway Fund.
Good evening.
Good evening. This is your transfer
Correct.
portion.
From the office and vehicle over to equipment.
What are you gonna purchase?
It's actually just to balance out. This is some tires that were needed for some trucks for the winter months.
Okay. So we have a request to transfer from office supplies to purchase equipment in the amount of $320, and from vehicle repair maintenance, equipment purchases $18,058. I did not total that. Thank you. $18,378.
Correct.
To equipment. Any questions or comments?
That's what I was gonna say.
And actually, I think it's in regards to the tire tools, the tire equipment, the balancer and changer.
That's a lot of money.
Tire equipment, tires, yes.
Anyone have questions on, it's a transfer, it's not an additional, so I know this is a lot of cleanup at the end of the year.
Melissa Green will make the motion to transfer from the 2,100, I don't know how you say that, the office supply and the vehicle maintenance and repair, $18,378 over to the equipment line item.
Meredith will second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 7-0. Thank you.
very much.
Looks like next up, is Julie here this evening? Julie Minton?
I thought she would be here.
Okay, is that why in your,
This is, next item, the Heritage Barn Annual Public Safety Fee. There has existed for a few years now, the ability for owners of barns that meet the eligibility requirements of what the statute defines as a heritage barn. There are a variety of different things. I think it's got to be constructed before 1950, got to be a timber frame, so forth and so on. That if the barn meets the person applies for the deduction, and if the barn meets the qualification of a heritage barn, then the assessed value of that barn is not taxed. This occurred when Brenda was assessor, and she and I discussed this at that time. At the same time that the legislators made this deduction available, they also provided that the county may adopt a annual fee for this, and the fee collected is then distributed to the public safety fire departments and like that are located in the geographical area where the barn is, and the auditor is responsible for distributing the fees collected to those public safety organizations. Brenda and I decided that to not go through having the county council adopt the fee, but since that time, and more recent, and really it kind of picked up in recent years, probably word of mouth, the activity or the applications for this heritage barn designation has picked up quite tremendously. And there's a lot of work that the assessor's office has to go through. And once an application is made to go out and assess whether or not the barn meets the qualifications, and then if the barn does meet the qualifications, then annually the assessor's office has to go out and verify that the barn still is eligible for the deduction. And so Julie and I have decided that we'd like for the council to adopt this ordinance to, if you will, make the landowners or the owners of the barns to really think about whether or not it's worth their while to apply for this deduction. Because a lot of barns, the taxes saved are going to be less than what the $25 fee is. And so we really want them to think whether, do you want to really apply for this? And, and so that the assessor's office is just not going out and doing this work because it costs them nothing now.
Right.
So why wouldn't you apply for it?
Yeah.
And save whatever taxes you might save from the reduction in your tax bill from this heritage barn deduction. So we're wanting to put some economics in this, and also it's a fee that will be distributed to the fire departments in the areas, so to help them, if they do have to help them with their resources or revenue. So that's what's in front of you tonight.
Well, and you've been frugal with the ask because it looks like the code allows you to
We could have
up to
asked for $50.
Right.
We decided to $25 because with the tax rates in Morgan County, we don't want to take this deduction away from people, but at the same time, we want to make it, make it economically feasible for the assessor's office to go out and do the work. There probably wouldn't be a heritage barn in this county that the taxes would be $50 at the tax rates that we have in Morgan County.
Right.
But there are some barns that no doubt they'll save more than $25 in taxes.
And this is an annual fee.
It's an annual fee, yes, it's an annual fee.
So I think in your packets, you all had a copy of the ordinance establishing the Heritage Barn annual public safety fee. Did everybody have a chance to read through that and the criteria that it has to meet?
Dan, have any idea how many barns we have that meets this criteria that's currently?
I don't know, the assessor's office has that record.
Be interesting.
I was trying to remember if Julie even mentioned to me how many there are right now. But,
Okay.
And do the Maxwells have any heritage barns? No. It's just not.
You do, but you haven't applied.
Yeah.
It's a barn, we still use it. If it's a barn, you use it. I mean, don't worry about it.
You don't need a plaque.
you're not precluded from using the barn. It's more it's based on the structure. The, what it, if it's.
What was the reasoning for why they gave the deduction on heritage barns? I mean,
Imagine that a legislator had a friend that had a barn that they asked him, listen, can you do something to help me not have to pay taxes on my barn? Bingo. I mean, there is no more reason.
There was a bigger reason.
Probably
I was sitting here trying to
something
think of what was the reason.
That's how legislation. Unfortunately, that's how a lot of legislation comes to pass, is that either the legislator themselves or a friend of the legislator had an
That's a good point,
interest
too.
in this and found a legislator that would draft the legislation, and that legislator had the ability to get it passed. But I mean, really,
It would keep some of them from being destroyed.
that would be my
tearing
guess
them
is
down.
how it came about.
To pay anything in the prior.
It makes me think of the marijuana legislation differently now. Which one's using it?
that issue?
We're waiting
No, I
on
just said-
Jason.
We're waiting on Jason. No, I said, are there any further discussions or questions on it?
I'm not trying to,
Trying to sell it?
to disregard your question, but really, there are many times there's no more reason than what I just gave.
Yeah. Well, and I don't think we were aware of it, honestly,
Right.
that there was so,
No,
the
it was
detail that has
enacted.
gone on.
I'm not
and
sure
that-
what year that was enacted. Like I
Yeah.
said, it was back when Brenda it was during my first term.
Right.
When Brenda was assessor. And
Is there any other benefit to having that Heritage Barn or status, like insurance purposes or that you know of? It's just basically a tax break?
just a
Okay.
tax break. That's the only that I know of.
Okay.
You could put a plaque on your barn if you wanted to. This barn is designated a heritage barn.
Could put a barn quilt on it.
There you go.
I like barn quilts.
So I look for a motion to move forward on this Heritage Barn Annual Public Safety Fee Ordinance in the amount of $25.
I'll make a motion to approve the ordinance establishing the Heritage Barn annual public safety fee of $25.
Thank you, Chip.
Melissa Green will second that motion.
Chip made the motion and Melissa seconded it. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Same sign. Motion carries 7-0. Thank you. It looks like we're then to the 2022 salary ordinance 2% increase. And there were 3 positions it looks like we were going to discuss. Doree, were you going to present that, or Josh? Are both of you?
You can both come.
Come on down, you're the next
But
contestant.
you got to do the Ryan Goodwin, Josh Messmer walk up to the podium.
What's that?
What is that?
We're like,
They walked in unison. Everyone thought they were brothers.
That still happens.
I'm sure it does. I
it's like,
if I
here
didn't
they
know, I would think
come.
so.
So just after review, after we had the last council meeting and after review, just noticed that those positions had not received the 2% raise, which I believe the council voted on for all employees, and so just wanted to bring that to your attention.
Yeah, and I think at our last meeting, we had kind of put Dan on the spot and didn't give him much time to look through those and thought that we had included everyone. So again, we're just revisiting that stance we had on everyone having at least the 2% this year. Did anyone have questions regarding that? Or I think we were all in agreement at the last meeting, so concerns?
You should be happy.
And will a happy person make a motion?
This happy person will make a motion.
So we have a motion on the floor to approve the 2022 salary ordinance 2% increase for the highway superintendent, EMS deputy director, and the EMS EDO.
Jason Maxwell seconds.
Thank you. Vicki Kivett made the motion, Jason Maxwell seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 7-0. Thank you. Now that will bring us back to the salary adoption because Dan will have to make some changes on the salary ordinance. So don't everyone run away before we get to the end of the meeting because we'll have some changes on there. Salary ordinance portion of this.
Can't skip anything on the agenda.
I'm skipping it and going to the handbook for right now. Because we're going to circle back around to that other thing. Okay. Yeah. All right, so Josh, would you like to present, or Doree, the employee handbook changes that are on our agenda?
Yes, ma'am. We have 2 different handbook changes for you. The first one, I believe all of you are aware, in talking with Sheriff Myers, that our road deputies are moving to a 12-hour shift. They will have some 12-hour shifts and 1 8-hour shift over a 2-week period. And so it was actually, I think, Doree's idea. She came up with a nice prorated amount, so we count 75% of an officer's time towards their 12-hour days, 25% towards their 8-hour days. That way, if they're taking 8-hour days as their day off, they're not using all 12-hour days and getting extra time off. So we think this is a fair and reasonable approach. Sheriff Myers was okay with it, and so that's the first handbook ordinance we have for you. And if you all approve it tonight, the commissioners will adopt it on second reading on the 29th.
Do you want to take these one by one?
Yeah, we can do that.
Okay. Does everyone understand what he just presented to us in the changes in the sheriff's department, that they're going to 12-hour shifts and the paid time off accrual?
And as I understand it, it's going to be a budget neutral effect. They've figured out how to work within their existing budget in order to accommodate the new shift schedule.
Okay. All right. So look for a motion to approve the sheriff's deputies PTO accrual change in the employee handbook.
Troy Sprinkle will make that motion.
We have a motion by Troy Sprinkle
Kelly Acala will second.
and a second by Kelly Acala. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 7-0 on that portion of the handbook change.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think the next portion was a removal of elected officials, department head authorization of unpaid time. So you want to give us an explanation on that one?
Yeah, the commissioners had some concerns. We have had some departments that have treated unpaid leave as something they just grant. We used to allow it up to 10 days. It was in a section of the handbook that was dedicated to FMLA, but we had some employees that would use all their time and then just say, ask their department head, can I take 10 days extra off? They're still on our insurance. We still have benefits to pay for them. So the commissioners have changed that now. If anybody wants to use those 10 days, it must come before the commissioners so that there's a good reason for that situation to arise. And again, they've passed it on first reading. If you all would pass it tonight, they will pass it on the 29th.
And this one was the one I did get clarification from our attorney because it hadn't gone through the commissioners yet, and then it was up to us, and I was a little hesitant that can we approve it on this end without them having done it yet? And Jim said there's nothing that says we can't do that, so it's kind of just coming to us first, and then it'll go back to them, but they're aware of it. It'll just be handled at their meeting on the 29th.
So this will be on a case-by-case basis, correct?
Yeah, that's correct. So if somebody, had some medical issue, they could still come to the commissioners and say, I've used all of my time. I think I apply for this exemption for 10 days. May I have it granted? And they could still do that. But they don't want it to just be discretionary because some people were just treating it as extra time off.
But it is maxed at 10 days.
That's how it currently is written.
So it should be a rare occurrence. I mean,
Should be.
yeah.
But it's possible that they could be granted 2 or 3 times during a calendar year, correct? Depending on the commissioners? There's no cap, correct? I didn't see anything.
Doree?
Currently, it was 10 days within the calendar year. It was 10 unpaid days within the calendar year. And it frankly was just being abused by some departments. And so they're requesting that we take this out, and any unpaid time would need to go before the commissioners. And I don't know that we want to put a limit to it. We didn't have a limit before. We had 10 days that you could ask, the way the handbook read, 10 days your department head could give you, and then any other time beyond that would have to be approved by the commissioners.
Where now you're reining that in, that it's all controlled by the commissioners?
Correct.
Okay.
There was no limit on the total amount of unpaid time you could take. It was just the unpaid time that your supervisor could approve.
Gotcha.
I don't see many people coming before the commissioners.
No, I think it would curb it a lot.
Yeah, I think so too.
So could they come before the commissioners and say, we want 10 days, but not consecutive days, like 3 days in March and 2 days in July, and space it out like
They
that?
could come with whatever request they wanted. It would be up to the commissioners to decide if they're okay with that.
So I think before us is just approval of that change in the handbook, correct? Our blessing, so to speak.
And we have some new council members. I want to give a little bit of backstory. As it was explained to me from Commissioner Goodwin, at some point in time, X number of years ago, we decided there are enough things in the handbook that touch both camps of council and commissioners that we really should always adopt these by both bodies. So there may be things that don't always may not be something you all care about, but we want buy-in from both bodies because so many policies have
And we
fiscal
appreciate that.
executive.
Yeah, we do. We work well together. All right, did anyone else have any questions or comments on that issue?
Chip Keller will make the motion to approve this removal of elected officials, department head authorization of unpaid time without compensation.
We have a motion by Chip Keller. Kim Meredith will second that motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you.
Next up, Doree, is our Morgan County Grievance Procedure under Americans with Disabilities Act.
Yes, I want to talk about the next three items together, and then we'll do them separate.
Okay.
So we have a community crossings grant that we give in conjunction with NDOT. And we received a call, Tony Hinkle and I received a call that we had some things that we should get in place for this coming year to make sure that we got those monies. So one of the things that we needed to do, looking big picture wise, we currently have a Title VI plan that was adopted by the commissioners, and there were two things that we needed to add to that. One of them was the organizational chart, and one of them was we had to ask, or we needed to have our public, where our public comes into the offices, we needed to have flashcards so that if they spoke a different language, they'd be able to point to the language that they speak, and then we would have 48 hours to get a translator for that. So basically for the Title VI plan, it says Title IV, but it's actually a Title VI plan. It will be, the commissioners accepted it, and it's just an updated, so we didn't change anything in the plan. We added the organizational chart, we added the flashcards. So that was to make the qualifications for NDOT. So that's part of that. We also will be having an ADA plan. We don't have the full ADA plan yet because we are having, DLZ will be working with us to do an examination of all of our public facilities, and they'll be giving us an implementation plan after they have done that examination of our facilities. So two things we needed for that ADA plan, which will not be complete until after that examination is done. Two things we needed to be able to qualify for this money is the grievance procedure under Americans with Disabilities Act and the notice of non-discrimination under the ADA plan. And all of these items are actionable that we had to put in a letter to NDOT, and they will go on our website once they're approved. The commissioners did approve for the first reading at their meeting last night.
Okay.
So we're just trying to make sure that we don't leave any money on the table and that we do everything that we can to make sure that we will
All
get
right,
that.
get our ducks in the row so that we've done everything we're supposed to do.
When you say all of our facilities, are you talking even like Waverly Park buildings and Wilbur and?
The park buildings are on that list. Anywhere that the public would go, like, we would have to, in Wintersdale
Trails?
Trail and, yeah, all of that.
Good.
It's very comprehensive. I think we don't have to do the polling, the voting areas, because that is already done by the people that have those facilities. We don't have to do the fairgrounds. Marina's shared that with me because yes, we own that, but we don't run it. So there's several on the list.
The Fair Board addressed that a couple years ago.
We did.
There's 38 languages listed. I mean, that's
Yeah, good luck finding all those translators.
I actually have two sources to go to for translators, and I think probably IU would be able to help us with some of them.
Good.
So the cost of these items, like the organizational chart, the flashcards, those items, will that come out of the commissioner's budget?
I did the organizational chart, so yeah.
Okay.
That's my salary. And the flashcards is just a thing that the NDOT sent me.
Okay,
And
so they
if you
sent,
look
it's not,
online for the I Speak flashcards, that's what comes up.
okay.
So it's just a PDF that's online that we have to have available.
You just have to have it
So
available,
there's
okay.
no cost for the items that we added to the Title VI plan.
Okay,
There
that was
will-
what I was looking for, were
For
we,
the examination of all the buildings, there will be a cost.
sure, Yeah.
And then, of course, if you get a translator, there'd be a cost at some point, but we would just take that as a case-by-case basis because we
Correct.
may not need to have that happen.
To date, we have not
Right.
needed that, but if we needed that, we would have to pay for
Right.
that.
We've come up with that in the court system, that we've had to,
Yes.
I had that happen
yeah.
early in my term. It ended up, I didn't need to, but I had to reach out and find translators.
Yeah. I think Judge Williams came before us
Ended
with
up,
some
I
issues.
didn't have to have the translator, but
Yes, the Burmese, yes. Okay, so you want to take these one by one?
Yes,
in-
please.
Okay. So we're looking at the Morgan County Grievance Procedure under Americans with Disabilities Act. Adjustment to the Title VI, correct? Is that how I
That
want
will
to read it?
be as a part of the ADA plan, once we have the ADA plan in full.
Okay. Yeah, it says Title IV, but it's actually Title VI, so. I want to correct that, okay. Any questions or comments on that further? You'll make a motion.
I'll make a
Okay.
motion to approve the first one, the Morgan County Government Grievance Procedure under the Americans with Disabilities Act.
Thank you. Chip Keller makes a motion,
Melissa Green will second that motion.
and Melissa Green will second. Do we have, all those in favor signify by saying aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 7-0. So now we'll look at the Morgan County Notice of Discrimination under the ADA.
I'll make that motion.
Kelly
Jason.
will second.
Okay. Jason Maxwell makes a motion. Kelly Acala will second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion again carries 7-0. And then the last one, the Morgan County Government Title VI Implementation Plan.
Vicki Kivett makes that motion.
Kim Meredith will second. So we have Vicki Kivett making the motion, Kim Meredith seconding. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 7-0. Thank you, Doree. Looks like next up on our agenda is the new and/or updated job description for a highway shop foreman. Grant, are you going to present that? All right. Get to what page? Have all your stuff here. You go right ahead.
First off, the highway shop foreman position is, well, most of you guys were out, took a look at the shop situation. And for instance, we just got a credit back from Speedway of approximately $5,800 worth of filters that were just not for use, had no purpose. So that means we spent probably $12,000 on them. This is just a management of everything shop-related. I mean, really and truly, it's just getting us up to 2021, 2022 business operations in today's world. You know, this job's gonna carry heavy responsibility from everything from not just the shop, but the people in the shop, the equipment, nuts, bolts, being able to keep inventory. Again, it's not really a want for me, but it's a need for the county.
So I've read through this, and I'll be honest, I'm a little confused on there's a mention of a shop foreman, and then there is a mention of a shop manager. Is that one and the same, or are those going to eventually be two positions that you will have?
No, the shop manager, I guess, this is where I get a little confused with all the WIS studies and job descriptions, but we're kind of getting rid of the shop manager verbiage and putting a shop foreman.
Okay, so you're not
Okay.
going to come back and ask for a shop manager position? Okay, I wanted to clarify that first.
Right. And I guess there's something else to be brought up, and I'm not sure if you guys are aware, but we've already did away with the nighttime shift of the two mechanics.
We had heard that, but we hadn't,
So that's been done as well. So,
Okay.
you know, this is part of, you know, two mechanics daytime, doing more of the maintenance and upkeep, preventative type, because the equipment in today's world is getting to where you plug it into a computer, you know what I mean, before you put a wrench on it.
Right.
And so, that's the shop foreman's role, is to be able to get the right people, to be able to use the right equipment to diagnose the equipment.
Is there always something out there being worked on by 3 or 4 people?
There's always something in our shop. I mean, we're running multiple pieces and it's mechanical, it's gonna break down, so.
And going through this, it's pretty lengthy, the work duties that will be expected of this position. And it quite honestly, as I reviewed it, and I'm not on the committee that reviews these job descriptions and when they go through lists and everything, but in some of these, and correct me if I'm wrong, I kind of thought they were your duties. There were, let me get to.
And I don't want to take away from any of my duties, but again, I think in these job descriptions, if you look at any job description in that highway department, they repeat themselves a lot.
Okay.
But this one says that this person will do interviews. Would you be sitting in on those interviews?
Most definitely, yeah.
Would you
And
be
that's-
conducting those
Be
interviews?
conducting the interview, but, if say, for instance, we lose the mechanic's position and need to replace that, I would rely heavily on the shop
Right.
foreman, opinion, you know what I mean, to fulfill that position. But, yeah, I would be leading the interview. Just for instance, a truck driver, you know what I mean? I would have a second party sit in with me on that one as well. Because I don't drive a big truck, you know what I mean?
How many employees would this person oversee? I think you mentioned you had 32 employees out there.
Correct.
2 of
which
those would be office. Some of them have since left, correct?
Correct, and retiring and have put their notice in and things of that nature. So, this position as a whole, as far as personnel, once the restructure is complete, their main job would not be, overseeing the people. You're looking at probably 2 mechanics at most. So it's more or less them keeping track of inventory of nuts and bolts, cost of what we're putting in the equipment, when we work on it. For when equipment reaches its threshold, you're putting more in the equipment than the equipment is worth type of position. Making sure that the right filters are on the shelf for when it hits its service date. And things of that way. That way we're not waiting on filters to be ordered.
So this position will not be supervising?
They will be supervising the mechanics, but her question was the quantity of it, and it's more than likely gonna be 2.
Just 2 people that they're
Correct.
going to supervise?
Correct.
And you've mentioned before that you have a plan to kind of revamp the whole system.
Yes, but this is your key element to the restructure right here.
And you mentioned the restructure. So I guess my question is, why are we piecemealing it instead of you presenting us the whole restructure at one time?
Yeah, and I hate to think that we want to think of it as piecemealing, because that to me is not exactly how, in my opinion, we want to look at this. Like, again, this is one of the key components to what I feel is the county's need.
Okay.
Okay, to where then you can start the restructure from this point.
I guess I would say that while I understand that, to balance it out, when you're asking for such an increase in pay, we need to see where you're reducing other positions, whether you're eliminating positions, so we can balance out that budget and kind of
Correct.
how the structure's all gonna eventually fall.
Correct, which we have already reduced the 2 mechanics position, just to let you know.
Okay.
But those are still being funded in next year's budget, so I
They
guess
haven't
from where
been
we're
removed.
sitting, you could go out and hire those two positions.
Right. Tomorrow.
They're still in your salary ordinance.
If I can interject real quick.
Yeah.
The point is, we have a vision that in the restructure overall, we will have a shop foreman, not just a shop manager. Shop manager essentially is a step down. There is no need to hire a shop manager now, to come back in a few weeks to hire a shop foreman.
Right.
When eventually, so I understand what you're saying about the piecemeal, but this is where we are moving to. Now, what you're talking about giving up, we understand, and if we need to now, we can also strike the two mechanics from the.
Okay,
ordinance.
and that was going to be
We
part of
will
the
not be filling
conversation.
those two positions. Yes, so hiring the shop foreman is a step in the right direction. There's no need to, I understand what you mean by the piecemeal, but it's the vision that we have, that we need to hire for what we're looking at and not hire for what we currently have because the rest is coming quick.
If I had your full vision, knowledge, I could better understand this. But where I'm sitting right now, I don't know what lies ahead. Are we going to decrease spending where we can put more into this position and
We will
reduce
decrease-
it?
We will decrease positions to be spending neutral. We will not increase spending per se to, that, yes, so the positions that we will no longer fill, that we can strike from the salary ordinance, will more than cover what we're asking for in raises.
And I can almost, to some certainties also say that I think with this position, with him being able to monitor cost and, savings and rebates and things of that nature that are not happening, that we should be able to reduce that as well.
So have you already reduced the number of mechanics, you're saying?
No.
Because we do that. We reduce it off the salary
We can do
ordinance, and
that
we
tonight.
haven't done that yet.
Currently, there are still 4 on the
There's
salary
vacancies?
ordinance.
Yes, there's
But there are 2
vacancies.
Right, okay. And you're not gonna,
We're not going to,
okay,
We are not asking for additional monies,
right.
either this year or next.
correct.
So
And we will not be asking for additional monies for that.
And if we wanted to ensure that that would, that cost savings is effective, we can strike that from the salary
Correct,
ordinance
correct.
tonight.
Aren't we getting ready to change this or approve a new salary ordinance? So we could,
But we can
That's why I
strike it
said we were
beforehand.
going to approve that salary ordinance that, when it was earlier in our agenda,
Right.
because I knew
I
we
got
were
you.
gonna, this was gonna come up tonight.
yeah, I agree. We need to make sure this all stays budget neutral. So if we need, if that's, and it's a good idea.
Yeah,
then
and I
let's strike
have the
those two.
salary ordinance here. The the mechanics positions are listed at 4 mechanics, paid at $24.94 per hour.
How much is that annually? $24.94 hourly.
And they do work a 40-hour week.
30,
I thought it was 35 something, just over 35.
35 hours? Or is that what you're talking about?
I was thinking it was about
35,000.
35,000.
No, it'd be more
No,
than that.
31.
66, 62, so.
You're saying $24.94 an hour on a 40-hour week?
51,875. And there would be 2 of those eliminated.
So you're looking at $104,000 right there.
Now, can you do the work, though, with 2 mechanics that,
Yeah, and that goes
And-
back to my original comment of, the mechanics and the role are gonna do more preventive oil changes, greases, things of that nature. you know
Okay.
what I mean? Like, when we have a Caterpillar go down, we are gonna call Caterpillar to diagnose that. And then if we can physically do the part, but the problem is we're not carrying SEA certified mechanics. So if we buy a part, we can warranty the part, but we can't warranty putting it on. So
Right.
we're avoiding it.
Yeah.
You see what I mean?
okay, I'm with you.
So
I'm with you.
it has to go that way.
Okay,
We just don't want you trimming yourself too close.
Yeah.
Yes,
don't-
no, thank you. And
Yeah.
this is a lot. This is a huge learning curve for me. So I appreciate the questions and I appreciate you guys taking the time and the patience with me to get me through.
so 103,750 would be the salary alone, but you have to take into consideration, you're also going to see some reduction on benefits. Because if those folks also had,
You might as well say 35%.
yeah, I always throw in $25,000 is if they got a family plan. I mean, I'm just, so,
So, I mean, you're looking at I mean, you're looking at limiting the two positions at the 24.94 and adding one at 31.87.
An hour.
Yeah.
Just a minute.
So you eliminated more than you're at.
Yes, exactly.
31.
87. So that's actually around 66,289 a year. So you're
Right.
taking away 103,750 to trade for 66,289. But again, you're going to add in another probably 20 for, depending on if it's a the benefits and things. So it's definitely a saving. And I commend you that it is a move in the right direction. I did tour the facility, and it needs a move in a different direction.
Yeah, I mean, and this
66,289.
isn't really anything new. When you walk into
This
any
position, okay.
Yeah. I'm sorry,
business-
Fran, I didn't hear.
I'm sorry, this isn't really anything new. If you walk into any business or any, shop, this is the way it operates. I mean, there's a superintendent, and then there's a shop owner, and then there's an assistant superintendent. I mean, it's just.
You're modernizing our highway department.
Correct.
Yes.
And this is just, I mean, we're gonna have to do it with all the job descriptions and just get it. I mean, we're totally redoing this highway department.
Was there any kind of calculations given to, because I know what you're saying about Kat's going to diagnose these things, and Jason knows where I'm going here too, probably, is the machinery today is, you got to plug them in for the most part. And there's things that we can't do, and you can't do, and those two guys out there can't do. So when Kat comes in the door to do it, they don't get paid $24 an hour.
Correct.
They get paid $124 an hour, plus, and it starts when they walk out the door, and ends when they sit back at their desk.
So service and maintenance, but we're covering all that up front.
I was going to say, that's already in your budget.
And you'll see a big change in our budget for 2023 to allow for that.
And not necessarily in a huge increase, but in a more efficient way that we're doing our management fleet contracts.
Correct.
Okay.
And I would say this too, when you're talking about equipment like that the more high-tech, more specialized equipment, you do pay for it more upfront when you're purchasing the equipment. A lot of times when you're doing these leases, a lot of that will fall under that lease as well. So it's not, while you're saying correct, those mechanics might be making $124 an hour, we're not necessarily paying that. We are paying the rates that we need to pay to maintain our lease agreement. Everything's already factored.
And I think Vicki and I we were just discussing, we want to be clear on these positions that, these are retirement positions that have already vacated their position or will be by the end of the year and will not be filling them as the mechanics. Is that how I understand this?
Vacancies are there.
The vacancies are there, yes.
Okay.
Or pending, yes.
Oh.
With notices.
Well, yeah, the notices are in place. I believe one of them's Cooley, one of them was Fights, one of them is Steve Jessup, so there's
So retirements, not,
retirements and also that have just quit.
okay.
Yes. So there's both.
You're not terminating people to create this
No.
position, I guess is what we want to
Correct.
clarify.
No.
Okay,
Yes, no.
all right.
I applaud you guys for your effort, because it certainly sounds like a huge undertaking.
It truly is, and that was, I don't know that me coming up here and trying to talk you guys through this is ever gonna get the explanation of how negligent this has been. I mean, we are in a massive restructure, guys. I mean,
Well,
it's,
I appreciate you having us out there,
yeah,
because, I've been out there before for various things, but I've never been on the tour.
right.
And I like already how it's looking out there with the cleanup.
Most definitely.
I just would like to see you move forward on those pickup truck beds out there.
Yes,
Get
ma'am.
some of that up.
Yes, ma'am.
There's 3 new pickup truck beds out there that's been sitting, 4 or 5 years?
We can work a deal out tonight. I'll have them moved in the morning.
Yeah. We don't need to keep them.
No. Did you get the cars
Get rid of
removed?
them.
I've got the cars moved, but we're still talking with Wisco and the sheriff about what to
Yeah,
do.
that's
Come
just,
back out, the yard has been much improved in the last few weeks.
oh, I can tell. I live
I
on
was
Blue Bluff. I drive it every day. I can
Through there
see
the
it.
other day. It looks
And
really
and
good.
it's not just our yard, guys, and I'm not trying to happening, and the guys are understanding. So it's taking place. It's not gonna happen overnight. We didn't get ourselves in this position overnight, but it's happening.
You've seen a lot of personnel changes over the last couple of months, but it has been addition by subtraction.
And that was a question I wanted clarification, because I couldn't remember if I read it, if you included it, but I thought there was someone already doing that shop management position. No.
No, he was technically mechanic, wasn't he?
Technically, he was being paid under a truck driver's position.
But he issued out parts and ordered parts and,
We can't,
Yeah.
I don't,
Yeah,
it
right.
wasn't
Yeah,
done.
okay.
It
Is
is now
that,
previous
is that person
administration.
still with the county?
Yes, but he has given his notice.
Okay,
He will not be after, as of the first.
okay.
well, I do want to applaud our county highway workers, and we'll really applaud them when we get snow. And I don't want any of this to appear like, we're out to hash. But I think moving forward and improving the department is much needed, as has been pointed out. And we're moving in the right direction. And no more than longer than you've been here, I applaud you.
Well, thank you. And it's not just me, I've got the commissioners and your guys' self to thank in this whole procedure. Day one, I jokingly, with Tony all the time, day one, me and Tony hit it off, you know what I mean? So that's been a
It's
blessing.
important to
because
work well together.
He knows, he knows the ins and outs a lot more than I do. So, it's nice to have that back there in the back room, so. we need
So
to
as I
put a
understand it,
special thanks into him.
I want to be clear, we're going to be changing from mechanic number total from 4 to 2 this evening if we change this ordinance,
Yes.
and then adding a position of shop foreman at a salary of $66,289,
It's going to be an hourly rate, which is
$31.87. Okay, let me rephrase that then. So eliminating 2 positions as mechanics, not rehiring those positions that are vacated, and then creating a new position of shop foreman at $31.87 an hour at 40 hours per week. Is that what we're being presented with?
Yes.
Okay. Questions or further discussion on that? And that would to be effective January 1, correct? Okay. Anyone?
Okay, so I will make the motion that we approve this new and updated job descriptions, which includes reducing the mechanics out of the county highway department from 4 to 2, and including, or adding this new highway shop foreman
At that rate of 31?
at that hourly rate of $31.87 a week for 40 hours per week.
Jason Maxwell seconds.
Melissa Green makes the motion to approve at $31.87 an hour the shop foreman, and to eliminate 2 of the mechanic positions for a total of only 2 instead of 4 now. I have a motion, and Jason Maxwell, did you second? So we have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Same sign, motion carries 7-0.
Thank you very much. Happy holidays.
Merry Christmas.
Okay, get my agenda.
Have a white Christmas.
Nope, we're not. Okay, moving along, it looks like next up is
3.
Assessor's Office Data Analyst.
The Job Maintenance Committee met before the council meeting tonight, and we tabled that.
You tabled that, okay.
So if you
So
could
we will table
Do we have
that.
to have a motion to table it here, or just strike it? Okay.
Just strike it.
Okay. The sheriff's office, they will be having body cameras starting in January. And so this position of a data system administrator is to take care of all of those duties. So you guys were able to add that to the salary ordinance, and now we have the approved job description. And the Job Maintenance Committee voted unanimously to approve it as is.
Okay.
So we'll be posting that now.
So do we need to
So
do
it would-
anything with that?
You need
This,
to make a motion and approve it also, I believe.
okay, and we'd already gone over that and everyone understood what that was, that it's keeping those records of the body cameras. So I look for a motion to approve that as presented.
Vicky Kivett makes that motion.
I will second it.
Vicky Kivett made the motion. Troy Sprinkle did second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 7-0.
Well, we have three, can I ask, what's the class? I didn't, I
The
should have brought my.
civilian poll,
Okay, sorry.
No, you're fine, Dan.
That's what it says.
hold on. I've got it right here, sorry. It is, yeah, civilian poll, and not finding my. Oh, sorry, civilian poll 3 non-exempt. Do you need the job study for that? Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Next is a declaration of intent to reimburse expenditures resolution. Josh, are you presenting that?
This resolution was provided to us by Taft. It's related to the bot. So at our last meeting, well, 2 meetings ago now, we said, let's move forward with the larger of the two projects. And this gives us the ability later, if we bond, to be able to reimburse ourselves out of those bonds. It doesn't obligate us to do so, but it allows us to do so. And so in talking with Cam, he said, there's no downside to pass this now. It doesn't bind us, it just gives us flexibility. So we wanted to go ahead and get this before you guys. We will come for your February meeting with an additional appropriation for professional service expenditures to get some of these things moving further along, but we wanted to do this before we expend any dollars.
Okay.
Is there a look-back period for those expenditures of 60 days, maybe?
He mentioned that there was a 60-day look-back period. He said it was longer with some of these soft costs, but if we have to redo that again later, we can. For now, we want to go ahead and get moving.
So if for some reason we pass this and then for some reason the bond resolution doesn't go forward, but we have those costs incurred, what funds will they be paid out of? What?
We'll come for the additional appropriation in February so that those are dollars that have been authorized by you all, because the way this reads and the way the bond agreement is going to read, we can't use dollars that have not been appropriated by you all.
I understand. I'm talking about if for some reason the bond resolution doesn't get approved by the council, but we've already incurred these expenses, what fund will they come out of? Because they're going to need to be paid at some point, even if the bond doesn't go through. So would they come out of general? Would they come out of edit? Would they come out of rainy day?
Yeah, we're going to leave that all to you. Dan and I
Okay.
talked about that. You know, QMCAT makes sense. If we think we're for sure going to reimburse ourselves, rainy day is an option. That's all your guys' decision.
Okay.
We were considering that at your January meeting, that have an agenda item of discussing the fund or funds that the council would want to pay those expenses from. And we'll be giving you, I'll have you an updated financial
Okay.
statement on those. There are 2 or 3 that I would, think that you would consider, and that will be up to council to decide. Plus also, talking about what if we do go through a bond issue, and the timing is such where the first payment or 2 will need to be made before we have a debt service fund. The decision on what fund that you would pay that from also.
Okay.
I thought that tonight's was plenty packed.
Yeah.
We'll have more more time on January.
Well, it's better when you know the final numbers at the end of the year, too.
Right.
So,
It
yeah.
it works better when
I would agree with
when we
that.
can close the year and
Right.
see where we're at.
Okay, so right now, we're just looking at the declaration of intent to reimburse expenditures resolution.
Chip Keller, make a motion to approve the declaration of intent to reimburse expenditures resolution.
We have a motion by Chip Keller. Kim Meredith will second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Last portion, but just before other business, as we all know, there are appointments that the council appoints. Some run a 4-year period, some run annually. And we have checked with those that are kind of on those positions right now. I think Vicki had checked with Patty Dow on the Alcohol and Beverage Board. She would like to continue in that position. The Morgan County Regional Sewer Board, Bethany Latham had expressed a desire to continue there. Tax Board of Appeals, Sharon Tyree would like to stay there, and I had checked with Julie, and Julie says she's doing a fine job and would like to keep her there. Economic Development Corporation Board, Kelly Acala has currently been on that, and they've got a lot going on with that. I myself and Troy Sprinkle are currently on the Morgan County Redevelopment Commission. And are you okay with your family situation with continuing that? And I would like, this is a vote, of course, but I too would like to continue on that with some things that we're entering into in the next few months. Job Classification Maintenance Committee, Kelly Acala, Troy Sprinkle, and Vicki Kivett. Do you have desires to continue on that?
Yes.
Okay. Is there anyone else that has a desire for any of these positions, or can we make a vote to?
Josh, you have another position you need to add to that, you said upstairs?
Do you have another one to add to that? Okay.
The commissioners, we talked about getting our WIS study redone. Don would like to make sure that we get this a little bit more tailored to us, and we wanted to invite the council to be active in that. We'll call it a subcommittee. It's not even really a subcommittee. We're just going to meet with them, but we wanted your guys' buy-in, and so we would ask that you would send a representative to be on that with us.
Do you, how often do you propose they meet?
Well, they need to get moving soon. They're going to do their study. We shouldn't need to meet with them more than a couple times, but because we want them to be done and back in time for budgets this year. So we're going to need to engage them quickly, but we want to make sure we've got the parameters lined out that they're going to do what, we've talked about wanting to tailor some of these markets. That's really, I think, what we need to get down to is what are you going to compare us to? Are there sub-studies we need to do in some areas? We want to make sure we're all on the same page.
And you're calling that, tell me again, what's the title?
You call it a WIS subcommittee.
WIS
does it.
Subcommittee. Okay. My plate's full enough, you guys. Is there anyone that has a desire to serve?
I would serve,
Anyone
unless
else?
someone else would like to.
No, I think it makes perfect sense, Vicki. You've got the experience of serving on the classification already, and that goes hand in hand with it, so thank you for volunteering.
All right. Look for a motion to nominate Vicki Kivett to serve on the WIS subcommittee.
I, Melissa Green, will ask or make the motion that Vicki Kivett be on the WIS subcommittee.
We have a motion by Melissa Green,
Jason Maxwell seconds.
and Jason Maxwell will second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. And we can bundle these others if you like, as presented for the members that are on there now to continue on those. I look for a motion.
Chip Keller will make the motion to make the appointments as presented.
Thank you, Chip. Kim Meredith will second that. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Motion carries 7-0. The only other ones that I didn't mention, but I think you last over a longer period of time is, Vicki, you currently serve on the
Community corrections.
community corrections. So I think the ones I mentioned are the only ones that we had coming up at this time. I think you're on that until 2024.
Right.
And then Chip, I think you serve on something.
Insurance Board?
Yes, and I think that's good till 2024, if I look back at these and I've missed anything, let me know, and we'll address it at our January meeting. But I think I went through them all, and I think we're okay on all those. Is there any other business to come before the council this evening? Is he going to print? Is he going to go print? Okay. Don't anyone leave, because we're actually going to pass the salary ordinance with the amendments. So we're going to circle back around, and we can go ahead and do that. He's just don't leave until he prints it. But I look for a motion to approve the 2022 salary ordinance, adopt the ordinance as presented with the amendments that we have made this evening.
I'll make that motion.
Jason Maxwell makes that motion.
I will second.
And Troy Sprinkles seconds. You got that, Deb? All those in favor of the 2022 salary ordinance adoption with the amendments as presented signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 7-0.
You have to get up and dance on the countertop, right?
And don't everybody leave, because
This
we want a
is it.
picture of our happy group. So with no other business before us, and I want to thank everyone for allowing me to be the president of the council this year. I think we've worked well together. We have a good team. I know we've faced some adversity through the year and some challenges, but we persevered, and I enjoy working with each and every one of you.
I just want to say that we just get better and better. I mean, well, I mean, we handle so many more things than what has been done in the past. We get introduced to all kinds of new tasks, and we do our homework, and we work well together, and we're really moving our county forward, people.
And we appreciate those of you that are new to it, and we welcome you, and you're doing a great job, and we're hearing great things in the community about you. So keep up the good work. I look for a motion to adjourn.
When's the next meeting?
January 3rd at 6:30, same place. Motion to adjourn?
Vicki Gibbet makes a motion that we adjourn.
Motion to adjourn. I look for a second.
Green will second.
Green will second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Merry Christmas to you all.
Cute.
Are there things we can start signing?
Don't leave, because Dan had to go get that salary
Taking a
ordinance.
photo.
Yeah.